Sahanavavatu Sahanau bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
A few years ago, the Chinese ambassador to the United States had made a statement that India had conquered and dominated China for over 20 centuries without having to send a single soldier across the border. Today, we are here to find out what is that power that, as Napoleon said, there are two powers in the world, the power of the sword and the power of the spirit. And he says, the spirit always vanquishes the sword. And it is this great country of ours and our ancestors, generation after generation, the gurus of the time made enormous effort to uphold the power of the spirit and retain this knowledge, keep the flame alive for future generations. Today, we owe our deepest obeisance to all these gurus, because it is their hard work that has enabled us to live peaceful, happy lives. And one day in our life, we need to dedicate to keeping this flame alive for future generations, so that they also may live life peacefully, happily. So, what is this power, and how do we rekindle that power within us, so that we too, in the present times, may achieve this fantastic feat of conquering other cultures, other people, not with the power of the sword, but by the power of the spirit. So, today we're going to take a look at possibly one of the most important contributions of Vedanta to the world, that is, the understanding and categorization of human thought into three gunas, or three traits, qualities. These three gunas are Sattva, purity; Rajas, passion, agitation, greed, which we see all over; and Tamas, inertia. We're also going to take a look at how they operate within our personalities, because all three exist in every single human being. How to use them, deploy them effectively, and most importantly, how to transcend them and reach that power of the state of enlightenment or realization, which is called gunatita, beyond the three gunas. So, Vedanta is the power, it introduces us to the power of the human spirit, the ability of the downtrodden to overcome all obstacles and emerge triumphant. So, let's start with the basics. You and I, the human being, are composed of two forces. Number one, the spirit. Number two, matter. Every single one of us is a unique combination of the two, because the spirit, or Atman, the self, is unlimited, infinite, all-powerful, never put down, never affected. And yet, within us is matter, which is constantly affected, always put down, always under the influence of the world. So within these two factors, the spirit or Atman is constant in us. It is always available in equal force in all living beings. So it's not that Atman is less in an ant and more in us. It's equally present in all living. In fact, it's equally present even in inert objects. Then there is the matter. So the question arises, if Atman is equally present in all of us, then why are there differences among us? There are differences among us because the differences are in the matter layers in us. The matter layers in us consist of the body, mind, and intellect. So spirit is the fixed component in us. Matter or body, mind, and intellect is the variable component in us. And this variable component can be categorized into three. Matter is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Sattva, purity, serene. When the mind is calm, composed, tranquil. Rajas, when the mind is agitated, turbulent, excited. And Tamas is the state of inertia, indolence, indifference. You don't care. You know, a typical example of this is a cell phone ringing. Do you know that it never happens anywhere in the world, particularly in any spiritual discussion? Nobody disturbs. If there is a disturbance and you are indifferent to it, it is a sign of tamas. You don't care what impact you're having on others. So, anyway, this is it. What is essentially the difference between the three is all three shroud Atman or the spirit, cover the Atman or spirit. But the difference is Sattva is transparent. It's like a windshield. You're not supposed to look at the windshield. You're supposed to look through the windshield. And when Sattva is present, the brilliance of Atman shines forth and the person becomes extreme. Sattva is a sign of refinement, magnificence, attractiveness. I'm not talking about physical attractiveness. There's something within a person that attracts the whole world. Like Ramana Maharshi, he was quiet, didn't do very much externally, and yet he was a force to reckon with. He attracted people from all over the world, not only during his lifetime, but even today people go to his ashram and find that serenity and tranquility. This is the power of Sattva. Rajas is like fog. When you go out in winter in fog, planes can't land, trains can't run. And in the power of Rajas, you can't see. You can't see right from wrong, you can't see good from bad. And therefore you blunder through life in Rajas. Tamas is like a brick wall. It blocks your talent, it completely shrouds your abilities. Even you are not aware of your amazing qualities. What a waste of valuable resource. Let's take another example. Tamas is like plaque in your teeth. Once the plaque is deposited, you have to go to a dentist, and the dentist has to use his skill to remove the plaque. Tamas is like that. Once you, unfortunately, for whatever reason, you are stuck with tamas, you need expert guidance to overcome that. Rajas is like a little fiber stuck within your between your teeth. This is the mango season now. If there's a small fiber of the mango stuck between your teeth, it is so uncomfortable. It's small, but it disturbs you. You need effort to remove it. You need a toothpick, but you can do it by yourself. I'm not saying rajas can be removed by yourself, but the fiber. Sattva is like water in your mouth. Even though it is a foreign body, it is not an impurity. It does not pollute your mouth. And so therefore, friends, we have to make an effort within us. Since every one of us has all three qualities, we are born in this world to fight rajas and tamas, to overcome rajas and tamas, and establish ourselves in sattva. When you become 100% sattva, you move over to that wonderful state of gunatita, beyond the gunas. Now, whether you are pursuing materialistic goals or spiritual goals, what you need to understand is you can excel only when sattva is operating within you. So all development, all progress, all creativity comes up only through your sattvic qualities. Now you tell me, where in the world is there an attempt being made to develop your sattvic qualities? No school is talking about it. No university is talking about it. No corporate body is talking about it. No government is even aware of it. And that's why we are where we are. Rajas is a state where you stagnate. See, sattva makes for exponential growth. Rajas, there is incremental growth. You make 2 steps forward and then again you fall. Again you take 5 steps forward and again you fall. It's like governments which come and go in this country nowadays. And tamas is the state of where you're totally asleep. There's a downward spiral. Once you get caught in that downward spiral, it's very difficult to overcome it. So let's take examples. A musician of outstanding caliber, when he operates out of tamas, what happens is he just sings the notes. He goes through the motions. It neither inspires him nor does it uplift his audiences. This is tamas. Rajas is where he sings, but for a return in mind. He wants name, he wants fame, he wants money, he wants to win, what is that? Indian Idol. Some goal he has. And therefore, if you've watched contestants in that Indian Idol, when a judge passes a negative remark, there are tears and all sorts of things. And when somebody praises them, they go overboard. This is not what music is meant for. Sattva is where the musician sings from the soul. And he touches the hearts of every one of his listeners. This is the difference, friends. When you operate out of sattva, doesn't matter if you're not a musician, you are something, you're doing something. Even a simple act of cooking or sewing or whatever it is touches the hearts of the other person when you operate out of sattva. The same person, however talented he may be, if he's rajasic, he puts people off because of his selfishness and greed and result-oriented behavior. A tamasic person is a disgusting character. Now, all of us have all three. So you know when somebody else gets put off with you, what you're operating out of. When someone gets disgusted with you, you know what's happening. And very rarely, once in a while, when you operate out of sattva, you come up with brilliant activity, creative actions. So let's take a brief look at these three before we get on to what to do with them. Tamas is the state of avarana, veiling, covering. Rajas, vikshepa, agitation. You know, there are times when for no reason at all, The mind suddenly latches on to one idea and you go around that one idea and it agitates you. It traumatizes you. Because of that, you can't sleep. That is why insomnia is increasing the world over, because of increased levels of desire and greed. This is rajas. Sattva is the state of unveiling, uncovering. Your personality gets awakened to a higher being, higher nature. How many of you have given yourself the opportunity, even under the worst of circumstances, to just look up at the sky? Take a look at the moon. Admire the moon for what? There are sometimes full moon, sometimes crescent moon, sometimes varying degrees, varying characters of the moon. You never have the time for it because you're just too full of yourself and your little desires and your jealousies and your anger and I don't know what else. So tamas is the state of darkness, when you're neither aware of yourself nor anything else. Ignorance. Rajas, passion. Sattva, purity. In tamas, your personality is dormant. You may be the most talented person, but what can you do when you're sleeping 18 hours a day, 20 hours a day? Rajas is the state of restlessness. And sattva is where the sublime, pure, refined characteristics come out of you. The sattva is the state of aristocracy. I don't mean wealth, please. There could be an aristocratic person without any wealth. There are plenty of wealthy people who are crude. Refinement is not linked to wealth. It's linked to, the other day in the United States, somebody asked me, where do I live? In Bombay. And when I told them, says, all rich people live there. We poor suburbanites have no access to it. So you must be rich. So, crude behavior. I said, yes, I am rich, but in terms that are different from what you are referring to. That's what it is. So, your desires in the tamasic state are unmanifest. In the rajasic state, they manifest. In the sattvic state, you transcend the desires and identify with a larger goal. The wonderful concept in Vedanta is that of loka sangraha, the welfare of humanity. Who is there in this world, in this country, who's concerned with the welfare of the world? In any sense of the term. All we're concerned with is just me. How do I benefit? Like, for example, this nuclear pact. I don't understand it. I don't even know what is good for us to do. But the question is, nobody else seems to be concerned about what is good for the country. Everyone's concerned about what is good for me in this. How many crores can I make out of this deal? At the expense of the country, at the expense of the world, at the expense of humanity. What price are you willing to pay just to grab a few crores for yourself? Tamas is the state of vegetative existence. You live like a vegetable. Your levels of awareness are zero.